Hello, my name is Vincent Faney. I am the author of Zen and the Art of Resistance Training, a yogic and scientific approach to weight training. I'm going to say something here that I haven't really said in the other video clips. I'm going to have to repeat myself each clip because I had some feedback from some people who said, you know, I wish you would have told me some of your creds. I didn't see your video talking about your credentials or the intro. I just got locked onto this video, this a different video that we're discussing right now, by the way. And he said, if I would have known your creds, I would have bought your book sooner. Why didn't you mention it? Why didn't you mention that Frank Zane and these other people were actually appreciative of your work and donated their pictures towards your work? And why didn't you mention this and that and so forth? So the one thing is I hate being redundant, and it sounds like I'm bragging. I don't like to brag. I don't like to sound like I'm bragging. And I had a big issue with this. Bill Pearl told me, says, you know, it's not bragging, it's really just advertising what you can do. Unless you're known as well as Bill Pearl and Schwarzenegger, nobody's going to know, and they're going to say, who the hell are you? Now, Schwarzenegger and Bill Pearl and many others basically had to demonstrate over time what they can do and show their credentials until they can walk into a room, they don't have to say anything. And he said, that's pretty much what I'm going to have to do and have to get over my shyness, my reticence about promoting myself and my body of work. Now, just to give you an idea, since I am promoting myself, that who I am, I was not an athletic kid by nature. I was, in fact, somebody who wouldn't be picked for the team. They'd actually use me as a bargaining chip. Look, you know, if you take Vince, we'll give you O.J. Simpson and Bo Jackson. We'll give, and just we don't want Vince on our team. So when I reached puberty, I started wrestling because it allowed my, since I'm half blind, to basically grab. You don't have to see too far when you're grabbing somebody. I started weightlifting to enhance my strength for wrestling, and I wanted to stay skinny and be deceptively strong. And anyways, in this book, like I told you, Frank Zane, I always wanted to look like Frank Zane because I didn't want to be a big bodybuilder. I wanted to look like that, weigh 135 and look like him, which I don't know. It's got a beautiful body, a perfect looking body. He donated this picture to my book. I emailed him when I was formatting this book, and I said it's a 600-page manual. And at the years of research and experimentation, and you know, with the gym I used to own, I experimented on hundreds of people, experimented on myself. I've entered many contests, and I'm listed in Powerlifting USA. If you get some back issues, you'll see that I won the Northwest Regional Championship for a drug-free meet. I had the highest strength ratio in the bench press. I came in first in my weight class and the highest strength ratio out of all the people who came to the meet. And I came in second in the squat and third in the deadlift in my weight class. Anyways, and I'll tell you, I would have done even better in the bench. They made me do like a couple second pauses, and that's a story within itself. If I was actually just a week before, I did 360. I weighed 172 pounds at the time. And at the time, I would have probably done a 410 bench, 410, 420, and but there was something the way they were making us pause like several seconds to. It's just a story within itself. Put me at a great disadvantage. Here's Frank. Frank, I emailed him, said, Frank, I want to borrow your picture, or I want to use it. I want permission to use your picture. And this is the book. So he didn't want to assign his name or his picture to anybody unless he sees the body of work that he's approves of. And he saw, you know, he kind of looked, checked out my stuff and said, yeah, where's your physical address? Love to donate my picture to your book. Dave Draper did the same. And since I published the book, since I've gotten it listed with the Library of Congress and so forth, many other people have given their books as well. This is Frank Zane, former Mr. Universe, Mr. Olympia, Mr. Everything, one of only 2 people to beat Schwarzenegger. Probably would have beat Schwarzenegger a second time later on when he was in the best shape of his life, before he got into a severe accident a couple weeks prior to the contest. And that's how I looked instead when I was around 40s, 181. And these were my measurements. And I did a lot of, check out my creds. I don't have too much time. I don't want to spend too much on me on this video. Basically, I'm going, just to let you know, I've been a lifelong student of an exercise physiology and weightlifting, and I'm going for a degree in biomedical engineering even at my late age because I am retired, and I just want to do something more interesting. And anyways, I want to speak about chapter 20, different types of strength, okay? different types of strength I want to speak about because it's important. Most people don't train for different types of strength. They don't even have an idea that there are different types of strength. And if they do, they have no idea on how to approach these different types of strength. Okay? And there are four main basic types of strength. You know, the absolute strength, speed strength, anaerobic power, anaerobic strength. And there are subcategories within those, and most people don't know about. Okay? Now, I've learned that improving one type of strength will help to improve the other types. Too many people concentrate on one or the other. Power lifters, too many of them, concentrate on one type of strength, and then they wonder why their progress is lackluster, or they hit a wall, or they can't go any further. So many of them start taking steroids. Now, not all people who work only one type of strength will take steroids, and not only all people who work one type of strength will. I mean, some of them will reach good levels, but that's their genetics are set up for it. But I argue that if they still trained all these different types of strength, even the one that they're focused on would be enhanced. Okay, so you know you need to train for each of these to get an overall desired overlap effect. Now, I just want to give an example. If you increase the amount of weight you could do for high reps, even if you don't practice your isometrics, your ability to exert high reps will improve somewhat, okay? But only to a point, okay? So I'm just saying, once again, if you're just training for high reps, you will improve with high reps, but it'll hit a wall, okay? Now, to keep improving in all areas of strength, you need to train them all. All right. Now, I just want to say, if you're training your 1 rep bench, let's say today you come in, you're doing 300 pounds in the bench for 1 rep, and then you could only do 100 pounds for 25 reps. Okay. Now, let's say you don't even train for your 1 rep. All right. Let's say you just work on your 25 reppers. Let's say you go for 1 rep, you go up to for instance, you go from 100 pounds, and right now you're doing 25 reps. Okay, but let's say over time you're able to do, let's say within a year you're able to do 200 times. Okay, I'm going to times 25 reps. Okay, you've increased 100 pounds. You've doubled the amount of weight you could do for 25. You've closed the gap from 200 pounds to your 301 rep max. Okay, you close the gap. Close the gap. From 200 pounds to 100 pound gap between 300 times 1. Now, honestly, if you close that gap and you don't even train it, do you think you're going to be benching more than 300 for 1 rep if you go to attempt it again? Of course you will. Inversely, if you could do 100 pounds barely for 25 reps and you're doing 300 for 1, and somehow through your regime of low reps, high weight, low reps, like 5 times 5, some people, and you get your bench up to 400 pounds, 500 pounds, whatever amount that you increase by, and you go back to do the 100 reps, do you think that you'll increase by the 100 reps? You do better than 100 pounds for 25? Do you think it'd be more than that? Yes, it will. Now, here's the problem. Most people don't, well, it'll be limited. I've learned that when you train all areas specifically, and there's a trick to it because you can't put your entire all into every type of training, otherwise you'll overtrain. But when you pay attention to everything that's needed to be paid attention to, you will increase better at a faster rate, all those levels, all those different rep ranges. So anyways, just to give you an idea of what absolute strength is, there's 3 types. There's concentric, eccentric, and static, okay? Now, concentric strength is when you do your 1 rep maximum any movement. That's the 300 times 1 rep. You build this type of strength and, basically within certain percentage ranges. And for some people, that's generally within certain rep ranges. But later on, I want to show you how there are other even better ways. This is a conventional ideology, and it's a good ideology. It works. Training in the 80 to 95% range and 3 to 12. See, that's a big span. 3 to 12 rep range. That's kind of vague. Doesn't really tell you why. Is it 3? Is it 12? What's best for it? It depends on the person. And of course, as you go through the book and later lessons, you'll learn how I put things together. Eccentric strength is like doing negatives. Add 40 to 50% of your 1 rep max to what you can push away, what you could squat with or what you could curl with in a positive movement. Then lower the weight under control for a 1 rep max. Some people like to do eccentric movements only for like more reps, and that's a whole different thing. That's a little more advanced. Now you got to use this type of training sparingly. You can't train negatives as often. It's really, you got to once a week, once every 10 days. Some people once a month. Really hard on your endocrine and nervous system. It takes such a long time to recover from that. Static strength is what you can hold in any position for of 20 to 25% of your 1 rep max concentric strength and positive movement. Now, this differs between different people, so you have to experiment. And speed strength. Speed strength. There's a couple different types. There's starting strength, explosive strength. Okay, starting strength is the ability to recruit a maximum number of muscle cells at the same time. And you can build this type of strength with ballistic movements. That's what I like doing. I do a lot of like starting strength, speed strength stuff. That's why you see people bouncing. That's why you see people go down and squat. You go to a power meet, you don't see a guy go all the way down and pause and go up. I mean, you can do that and it's okay, although you have to be careful because it could overstretch the ligaments in your knees with heavy weights. But a lot of people like to use the Golgi tendon and the stretch reflex of the Golgi tendon and appropriate receptors within the tendons. And they like to ballistic up, boom, up and down, 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 no pause, bounce, 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 ballistic, ballistic. And what that does is helps to build starting strength. So when you see people on YouTube look at somebody bounce and they go, oh, that cheater, well, okay, yes. I've done 325 for 22 reps bouncing at ballistic in the bench. And I've had people say, well, the only way you could do that, the only reason why you're able to do that is because you're bouncing it, you're cheating. I go, well, I'm not cheating. But yes, you're right. The only reason why I could do 325 for 22 reps is I'm bouncing it. The fact is, if I paused it, if I try to pause it, it would reduce the reps substantially. In fact, if I wanted to get 22 to 25 reps with pauses, I'd have to drop the weight by 25 pounds, of which I could do 300 with pauses, full extension, for 25 reps. So yes, but the thing is, it wouldn't be the same type of thing. Explosive strength is more from the pauses, where you pause on the bottom, and then you go up as fast as you can. That's explosive strength, okay? And that's built that way, and you got to do them both, okay? Now we have the anaerobic power, and within there we have local muscular endurance, and I neglected to, let's see, local muscular endurance. Let me go up there. Local. Okay. I neglected to put that in. Whoops, don't want to misspell. Okay, we got local muscular endurance, the ability to have sudden submax muscular output over a long period of time. The ability to have submax muscular output over a long period of time. And that's marathon runners do that with their legs, but you can train every body part like that, just over time, submaximal, submaximal. And this helps to build up some of the energy systems, the oxidative system and so forth. You're not going into oxygen debt. But it also helps to build a certain amount of ATP and so forth. This label is often misused because the local muscular endurance, depending on the length of time involved, your speed of lifting, the tempo involved, the weights used, whether it means an easy sandbagging set or an all-out repetition maximum. And this can determine what energy source is heavily targeted. Okay, these factors are also determined if you're operating in a more aerobic or anaerobic zone. Okay, that's why, you read these conventional books, and they'll just simply say, local muscular endurance is the ability to have a submax muscular output over a long period of time. That's all they say. And that's true. But there are other factors, as I discussed, like speed of the lifting, the length of time involved, the tempo involved, the weights used, and whether if it's a sandbag. Because if I like spend 3 minutes and I go all out to get 500, and I kill myself to get 500 reps, then what is it? Is it submaximal? Well, it was submaximal up until I couldn't get another rep. If you do a 10 reps with a weight that you can barely do 10 reps, that's a 10 rep maximum. It was submaximal weight on rep 1. It was a little less submaximal at rep 2, and so forth. When you go for an all-out 1 rep, and I've seen guys kill themselves to get 350 in a bench. They maxed out. They tried for a second rep, it killed them. Couldn't do it. So that was a max out. That was not sub-max. Yet they've rested, maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes. They put on 360, 370, and they drew something from the wellspring of the fire in their belly, who knows what, and they do 1 rep. And they barely get it. And that's not a sub-max. But then that calls into question, was the 360 a sub-max? Well, yes and no. I mean, it was less than the 350 was less than the 370, but the thing is, at that time, it was all they can do. So that's why you got to be. That's why I wrote this book, is to call some things into question. Okay. So aerobic means with oxygen, anaerobic means without. So let's say I do 100 reps with something, and I take let's say regardless, if I do 100, let's say I do 100 reps, 120 reps in a minute. If I'm not out of breath, if I've gotten a certain thing, what am I using? What energy system? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I'd have to hook up a bunch of monitors and blood samples and so forth and so on. But using the oxidative system, if I'm and I use all systems. See, the point is, regardless of what effort you're using all systems, and you're stimulating it, and it's on a continuum. Okay. So again, there's many ways that I approach throughout the book that you could, my book here, that you could improve the continuum. Now we got strength endurance. Strength endurance this is what the general ideology, a general accepted fact about strength endurance: the ability to have a maximum muscular contractions repeatedly with no appreciable diminishment of muscular output. Okay. And experts, and they disagree, various experts, say, well, it should be 95 to 98% of your 1 rep max. Well, you know what? That doesn't work for me. I could go closer to my 1 rep max. And it's not because I'm fast twitch or slow twitch. It has to do with conditioning. Okay. Now, from the get-go, it has to, with some people, it is, depends on muscle fiber percentages and so forth, but they can be changed. Okay. Speed endurance, the ability to maintain your maximum speed of movement with enough weight to have the right combination of velocity and max force. All right. Now this is something that I really like. I employ this. Okay. Okay. So this is something you got to really look at, and it just really depends on I prefer, instead of just preferring to look at what is doing what and theorize, I just look at the other end of the other side of the equation. I want to improve in all these areas. I train to improve in all these areas, and if I'm improving these areas. I don't bother to think I don't look and try to question it too much as to what's going on in my blood and my oxidation. I mean, because I'm a researcher, I do, but basically, performance is the coin of the realm, and if you're improving these areas, then you're improving your coin, you're improving your biological wealth, the currency of energies that you have, different energy sources that you have in your body. Okay, that's it for now. I've gone beyond what I really wanted to go, but check it out, and I'll talk to you later.